that's me feeling frustration. Today's topic on Vicky Poole communication. Sorry, I'm sorry. Is about feeling frustration, and I guess what to do about it. So, Vicky, you wanted to talk about feeling frustration.
Yeah. So when we get frustrated and we kind of reach that overwhelm point, like the straw that breaks the camel's back,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you hit into overwhelm. Well, what people see is you hitting that overwhelm point where things are far too grand, far too much, and you tip into overwhelm. Tires are going out the pram. And people very rarely take the time to figure out what the warning signs are of somebody's impending explosion.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, I think that people often display both those warning signs and the after, what happens next, in completely different ways. I mean, I start throwing toys out the pram and kicking and stamping, whereas Heather,
Never.
but Heather just shuts down.
Yeah, so everybody's different, and when we are around people that we know very well, so these are family members, children, people that we work with on a daily basis, we'll get to recognize, oh, Gareth is on one today, he's being really picky. No, because what's usually happening is someone has a rather large amount of work on, and they are getting overwhelmed. And why is this important? So women have different energy to men. Assigned female at births have different energy to assigned male at births. Let's get that right. Not true in every case. The most important thing to recognize is the language that we're using, because our language dictates the person that we are on the inside. So when my husband gets very, very stressed, he'll want to know ins and outs and nth level details on things, because he needs to know all of the different analytical responses before he can make an informed decision. So he will push on details. So I know that when he is stressed, he's going to push me on details. So I can either respond how I choose to, or I can choose to soothe his overwhelm and give him the details. So instead of responding with, yeah, I'm doing dinner tonight, it's I'm doing dinner tonight. We've got chicken Kievs and chips, or we've got chicken Kiev and blah. We've got rice and chips, well, whatever it is. I can provide that detail. So then he is less stressed in that situation, which means he is calmer, he is soother, he's more soothed, which means everyone else in the household gets an easier ride. And this is just the same as well when you're in business. And women are assigned female at births are more likely to require find more comfort in a stable, non-aggravated workspace. So you know how they say that females in the office kind of like smooth out the frustrations and personality types? They say that. I'm yet to witness it, but that's fine.
I don't find that happens at all. I think it creates polarities, but there you go.
Women are naturally more caregivers. We are like the mother figures in the household. We do a lot of like
yeah. I'll give you that.
So then when it comes to like clicking in with people in that we connect with at work, the females assigned female at births are also more likely to be smoothing over that relationships. And when we choose to identify and see when our colleagues are hitting that overwhelm, two things, magical things happen. One, they feel like they're able to share their frustrations with us. And a problem shared is a problem halved in so many areas. And then the second one is that it demonstrates to the people around, the other leaders, the other managers, that this person, you or me in this situation that I'm talking about, is able to manage and lead a team. Because when you're able to smooth over what's going on and help somebody to manage their own emotional frustrations, that's one of the biggest parts of being able to lead a team effectively, because you're able to help the team resolve any issues and get over them so that they can actually get the KPI delivered, which is what the business wants you to do.
Yeah, of course. But the biggest issue I've got for me is your internal expectations of yourself. And as you start spiraling down into the feeling overwhelmed, you start potentially beating yourself up about not actually coming up to the mark you already set for yourself. And then you start perceiving that other people are all focusing on one area, and that you can beat yourself into a corner if you're not careful. And before you know it, suddenly that's it, toys out pram.
Yep. So the biggest judgments that we ever give are to ourselves. And in reality, no one else really cares. And this all starts from when we are very, very young. We get given expectations and we tell our children, oh, that's not wrong. Or sorry, that's not right, that's wrong. So we we educate our children that they have to be right. They have to conform to everyone else's ideations and expectations. So you have to put the square peg in the square hole. You've got to be able to draw in between the lines and keep it neat and tidy. That's what we want them to do. They want to have fun. So by allowing it and asking our youngsters in order to conform to what we want them to deliver, it creates that expectation that they always need to conform to other people's expectations and other people's deliverables. Whereas what we're actually doing in that scenario is stamping out innovation. So I'll give you an example. When my 5-year-old, God, he is nearly 5. It's scary. When my nearly 5-year-old, not quite ready for that yet, tells me, oh, mummy, I want to do this. And I said, well, this is how I do it. How would you do it? He'll spend the next 25 minutes exploring other ways of being able to deliver the same thing. And there are some things that he now does differently. So he has his knife and his fork in the opposite hands to me. Because for him, having a fork in the right hand makes much more sense than the left. I couldn't work it like that, but he eats more food like that. So he is happy to do it that way. I've allowed him to do it. When I was a child, the ruler would have came out and, the fork would have been put in the left hand. And it's that freedom. It's that freedom to allow them to explore. And when that child grows up, when that young person develops into a young adult, they are more likely to look at solutions holistically and look for blue sky thinking. Now, you can choose to deliver this right now in your lives by saying, this is how I do it. How would you do it? Most people go, well, the same way. Is there a better way, perhaps? I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's workshop it. Great, you get the coffee and I'll get the hobnobs. And then, nice little bit of product placement there. And then you actually get to think about it.
Hang on a second. The problem with me is I'm usually in my own private world. Nobody else gives a half-witted monkeys what's it about the fact I'm spiraling down. I have to resolve the whole thing internally. The whole thing is like one internal monologue. At the end of it, it says, just get up and get on with it. And then I do. And nobody is any the wiser that I've had a complete meltdown and a reform and get on with it.
Most of these things happen inside the presence of our own skull.
They do.
And what you're sharing there, Gareth, is about procrastination. So there are two different types of procrastination. There is the active procrastination and then the passive. The passive procrastination is I'll think about this for 3 weeks and then rush to do something in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the active procrastination is I don't actively know what I need to do to make this look good for other people. So what happens is we head into overwhelm and then we look back at what's actually important. What do we actually need to do right now? And then we form something which is just the next step. So if I was going to do this thing right now, what would the next step be? Well, the next step would be opening a Word document and putting down 4 bullet points. Great.
Sure.
Tap, 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 tap. Great. Now that I have this down, what is the next step? Because when we tip into overwhelm and we hit that frustration point, we're looking at the big picture. What we actually only need to do is look at the next step. And sometimes we might not necessarily know what that first step is. So then you outline the possible steps that you could take.
And right. What you're saying is the journey of 1,000 steps starts with a single one. So let's take that single one and then see how that feels, then move on to the next one after it, and so on and so forth. Is that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And there is no wrong answer.
Ooh.
There is also no right answer, because the right answer is going to be whatever choice you choose to make. So in Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, it talks about the win-win scenarios. And this was critical for me in being able to like manage my own frustrations, because I suffered and experienced a lot of active procrastination, because I didn't know what I needed to do to deliver something that was good for someone else. And what would happen is that I would get into overwhelm, I would implode, I'd then be pushed for things that I couldn't deliver, and then I would explode. So by looking at the win-win model, it's the, well, if I do this, then the following attributes and the following wins are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if I do this and I go down this route, that will have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deliverables and have those wins. And it just depends on which one makes more sense at this time.
I remember that my biggest problem used to be I'd make a checklist of things I need to get done. I work very well with lists. And then I'd get to list item number 3, realize there was an interdependency on something else that I hadn't got any control over, and everything would come to a grinding halt. So these days, what I do is I make that list and I pick on it which are the fun ones that I can get done quickly to build my confidence. Let's get them out of the way. Which is the one that I need to get done, must get done, break a neck to get done by the end of today. Let's get that one done. And then all the rest take up the rear. So I reorder them depending on getting myself into the spirit. And once I'm going, I can move mountains. But I just got to get it going.
Lists are a coping mechanism in order to make sure that we do the stuff that we feel other people expect us to do. And they work brilliantly. So anyone has a to-do list. I have a to-do list. And on that list is all the stuff that could be done today.
Yes.
And I then have a little pad of notepads. And what I do is I take everything that could be done and I pull out the 3 to 5 things that need to be done today. Once those things have been done, I have hit success, because the things that needed to get done today have been done. So my post-it note list is the success list, whereas everything else is just a to-do list. And that is a really great way of managing overwhelm, because when you write out your to-do list, it could be several sides of A4, but there's only one thing on there that needs to be done today, which is taking the bins out or responding to an email or going live with Gareth on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but need can often be driven by what you really want to do and what you're really unsure of doing.
Well, there's no reason that you can't have multiple success lists. So I need to do this success list in order to be successful at work, which is like your KPIs. So you make 10 phone calls, connect with 5 people on LinkedIn, do 3 sales emails, whatever it is. And then you've got your personal success list, which could be going to the gym and performing a pump class, could be running a mile, could be doing 25 sit-ups, or whatever it is.
Joanne Tippett has tipped in. Sorry, Joanne.
Hey, Joanne.
And she says, I started finding my daily to-do lists overwhelming. So I changed it to weekly to-do lists, and now I get so much more done.
Yep, 100%. Weekly to-do lists are great when you're looking at productivity over a week period. For example, doing the washing, cleaning the house, when it's things that need to be done on a timeline. So it's pointless putting the bins out on a Monday when they're due for collection on a Friday. So that there's a yes to the weeklies, because then it's an action list. Things that need to be done in the day. Always, I think it might be more of a mindset thing. I would encourage you to have a look at a success list and just pull out 1 or 2 things from your weekly list and pull it onto that success. Because my success list I've done before 8 o'clock in the morning. And I do it with 2 kids, and it's things like putting a load of washing on or power up the laptop and download 3 tenders, because it'll take a long time for them to download. And then it's all done before 8. And then I skip and hop and jump through the rest of the day, because all of that important stuff's been done.
I can't imagine you hopping through anything, but skipping maybe. All right. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We absolutely thrive on the fact that people are taking an interest in what we like warbling on about. Vicky Poole will be returning next week for yet more coaching, but she's about to go off and throw some axes.
I am, yes. So I'm literally about 3 minutes away from hopping in the car and heading over to Bracknell Forest to Go Ape, where I'm hosting my Frustration Buster event this afternoon. It's a 4-hour workshop. Brilliant. where I'm talking about language of frustration, how you can manage someone else's frustration by listening to their language. And I'm going to be giving people cues on language, specifically for anyone who works with or engages with people who are autistic or who have some form of SEND, special educational needs. And then we're going to be going axe throwing. And then we're going to finish up the day with a little bit of forest meditation from a local trainer who I'm very, very excited to see. I've seen lots of her trainings online, and this is the first time that we are working together. I'm very excited.
But the most important thing is that you've already talking about booking the next one of these. So if anybody is interested in doing this and coming along and throwing axes at hard surfaces and meditating in the middle of a forest, very cool. I would say
watch this space. Watch this space.
Is it for ladies?
So the axe throwing is for women only.
Probably just as well.
Yes, lads, I'm teaching all your women to throw axes and manage frustrations. Oh yeah. So the women only event will be on I think it's a Thursday evening. I'll have to double check the dates on my emails at the end of August. And I am running a lads only event at a brewery, no less, in Reading. So what?
Such a stereotype.
Who doesn't like a pint and a moan about their respective other half? Well, that's you, Gareth, because Heather is awesome.
She is awesome, and I don't drink. But anyway, moving on. What I was going to say is that we will be doing more odd pieces of videos to promote it coming close to the time. Please, places are limited. It will be an amazing experience, and you'll come out with a really good deadly aim with a axe. I can't think where you could use that. Vicky, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, thank you for being with us, and until next week, bye-bye now.